Oh, hey! Welcome back to my channel. It has been 1 week and I'm back like I said I would be. So first of all, welcome to the accounting struggle. I am Courtney and today I have another video for you. This is going to be my 5 resources that you should be using that you're probably overlooking. And this is already up on the website. It is www.theaccountingstruggle.com. If you haven't already, go ahead, sign up, stay with us, play with us, be with us. I also listed my playlist. I have 3 busy season playlists listed on my website. And one is like super ratchet, you know, hip hop vibes. All of it is unedited. I feel mad childish when I listen to like the edited version. I'm too grown for that. So yeah, that one is definitely earphones in. And then I have like a 2000s like R&B kind of vibe. That one is like a lot of Beyonce, a lot of Ashanti, you know, giving you 2003 type of teas. And then I have like a busy season, like vibes and very like SZA, Kehlani type of stuff. So go ahead and go to my website so you can see those 3 if you are wanting to just listen to some mixes while you're at work, while you're busy, you know, cranking out returns or audits, you know, whatever you're doing. Have that on the background. Think of me. It'd be great. So yeah, I made that for us. If it's anything else you want to hear, let me know. So I'm coming to you with this video because when I first started in accounting, I just didn't even think about common sense things like, oh, you know what? I probably could look this up myself instead of harassing my coworkers with questions, which I still do. But I just, it all hit me one day when I was asking a partner, like, oh, this person, I'm doing their return and they had this stock sale and how am I supposed to know what the basis was? And she was like, Courtney, you know you can look this up online, right? And it was just like, oh, common sense. Like, duh, this is the stuff my man has been telling me about. Like, oh, you don't got no common sense all this time. So that's why I wanted to put this video together, because sometimes when you're overwhelmed with like just the newness of your job, you forget about common sense things like, oh, you know what, I could Google this. So I have 5 resources for you. Number 1, you probably guessed it, is Google. Google is a great resource. I know in college they tell you don't use Google, don't use Wikipedia and stuff like that, but Google is a great resource to just look up quick things that you might not be thinking of. Like if you're doing a 1040 tax return and maybe you need to try to get the basis of what this house is, like you see that maybe this client sold a home and you need to look up the value, they didn't provide it. We don't need to reach back out to the client for that. Like you can look that kind of stuff up online. You can Google like, oh, what was the mileage rate for 2016? What was the value of this particular stock that they sold on this day? Things like that are just already, like, you can just quick Google search. Or if you're trying to find out something that is like, maybe I had a client who's adding some type of asset and it was like farm, and I'm like, I don't know nothing about tractors and all that kind of, don't get me on that. I don't know. So I had to Google it. I'm like, oh, it's a tractor, like a thing that you, and I'm not even trying to be like ditzy. Like I literally just didn't know what they were talking about. So things like that, you can just, don't forget, Google is your friend. Look that stuff up. And I mean, you need to make sure it's not a sketchy website, but like Google will lead you to almost 95% of the answers that you're looking for. So that's my number 1 resource. The other one is going to be, for me, I use, because I'm in tax, I use Irs.gov. Like it's bookmarked. I use it all the time, like every day. Irs.gov is an obvious resource, but even if you're not in tax, it's a great resource too. But obviously with all of the tax reform changes, you'll want to look on Irs.gov for things like, is this, you know, new AC unit that they placed in service, is this considered a leasehold improvement? Actually, it's not. Can I take $179 on that? Maybe. So look at the Irs.gov for your answers before you just quickly say, oh, let me ask my buddy or my guide or whatever, because that's what I was doing. Like, oh, I don't know the answer to this, let me just ask this person. And that can get kind of annoying when it's something that they're thinking like, sis, why don't you just look that up? So Irs.gov is great. And a thing that I used in particular that was really helpful is reading over the instructions to the form. So if I had a few, like maybe it was a slower time, not busy season, when I first started doing 990s, that's the nonprofit returns, I did not know how to fill out those checklists. They were asking things like, girl, a benefit transaction, like what are you talking about? I don't know. So I had to look this stuff up, and what I found helpful was reading over the instructions. In my spare time, I would just kind of go through and look at like, what is it saying in the instructions? There's pages and pages of instructions, but if you look through those and read through those, it'll help you in order to process these returns. So even with the 1040, it'll tell you like, oh, if they have this many cash receipts, or if this is how much they have in assets, you need to do this type of attachment. It's just little things like that are really helpful, and it can take you a long way, especially if you have the time. If you have a very small budget, if you have a 3-hour budget for something and you're already at 2.75 hours, you haven't even started entering the return, maybe don't spend so much time doing the research online, but if it's something that you can quickly look it up. So that was Google and Irs.gov. My third resource would be your intranet. So every company pretty much has an intranet. I would say especially if you're at a mid or like a larger firm, I'm pretty sure y'all have an intranet. And in that, you usually have some type of like social media group. Ours, where I work, is Yammer. It's kind of like Twitter, but without the excitement and the problematic tweets. So it's like basically people can start conversations about topics that are relevant to work, and that's where you can find a lot of your answers. So for instance, if you're maybe you have a new program that y'all are rolling out and you're like, hey, has anyone, you could just put in your group, like, has anyone been running into this issue? I'm getting X error message. Here's the attachment. Here's what the error message looks like when I type in this. Has anybody else been having that issue? And then other people who have run into the same issue can respond. And it's really great. So that way you're asking people firm-wide or company-wide questions without having to get up and ask your neighbor. And like a lot of these conversations have already taken place. So you can just search like, oh, here's the answer to what I'm looking for. It's already out there. Someone's already figured it out and discovered it. So that's a great resource too. If you don't have something like that at your company, your state society of CPAs should. I'm a member of the Virginia Society of CPAs, and they have like a group where usually if you're a member, there's like a chat. I don't know specifically what all of them are called, but you usually can ask questions like, hey, I have this 199A issue that I'm having. Has anyone run into this? What should I do? And those types of things are a great resource. It's information that you're getting from somebody who is also in the business. So it's not just random ask.com type of things. It's like legitimately people who know what they're doing, who know what they're talking about, who are also CPAs, who are also in the business, answering these questions that you have. So that's a great resource to use as well. And for my fourth resource, I would say CCH Checkpoint is amazing. It's Thomas Reuter's CCH Checkpoint. They have it for audit and tax. I can only speak to tax because that's what I do. I haven't worked at audit before, but for Checkpoint, that's where you could go, especially if you do a lot of multi-state returns. It's especially helpful to determine like, working on a big company right now, and they file in like pretty much every state there is. And some states conform to, certain depreciation types and some don't. And it's just like, why can't we just all be on one page? Wouldn't that be nice? But that's not the case. So you can go on to Checkpoint and you can basically just create charts to tell you like, okay, I'm working on a C Corp or S Corp. You can say what type of return you're working on. You can find exactly the guidance you're looking for. Do I need to file in this state? Do I not need to file in this state? When is the due date? All of that information is available to you. And I know that is also a resource that auditors use as well. I just don't know auditing language, so trying to make it up right here would just prove how little I know about audit. So my favorite resource is this beautiful platform we're using right now. So YouTube is bae. I would not have made it out of college without YouTube. I don't know how to do stuff. Like I've literally typed in how to clean my room onto YouTube because everything that you need is on YouTube. If you do not know how to cook something, if you don't know how to do a braid, like if you don't know how to, I know this is getting off topic, but literally everything you're looking for in life, it's on YouTube. So why that's a great resource for work is because if you are just quickly trying to do something in Excel, like, oh, okay, I need to do a VLOOKUP or I need to do a macro or just any of that kind of stuff, you can look it up on YouTube instead of saying like, oh, Cindy, can you show me how to do this again? I kind of forgot. Do you mind just, people are going to be so over you. I know because people are most certainly over me at work. I mean, if they're watching this, they're like, well, if you use these resources, why are you always asking us stuff? So YouTube is great for cutting back on those little how-to type of questions. So if you're trying to do something in Word or Excel is a huge one, especially if you're in accounting. But also with like putting together presentations, things like just getting information about how to study for the CPA, or just coming to this channel so you can get advice on, you know, whatever it is I'm giving y'all advice on. That is also really helpful too. So I would say definitely use YouTube to your advantage. It is a lot of great information. Make sure that you are getting good sources with whatever source you use, because you don't want to be putting things in wrong and being like, oh, I found it on the internet, so I thought it was right. You want to track the resources that you find that are actually legitimate, and make sure that you're not just putting anything into the system. So if I find something on YouTube that instructs me on how to, you know, do a VLOOKUP or whatever, I want to test it and make sure that I'm doing in real time what they're saying to do. Oh, look at that, it worked. That's great. So things like that. So that was just a quick video on my 5 resources that you should be using that you're probably overlooking. Just don't overthink it. Like, you're already overwhelmed probably if you're new to this and you ain't true to this. I'm the corniest person like ever known to man. But anyway, if you are new, you're already probably very overwhelmed with all the information, all the different technology. I get it. Like, it's a lot. So I would say don't check your common sense at the door. There's a lot of information on the internet. Do not forget about that. Use Irs.gov, use, you know, Checkpoint, use all of it, YouTube, whatever you can get your hands on. So that way, when you have questions for people that you work with, you're not asking just annoying questions of things like, you could just easily look this up. So try and have a rule of thumb and say, is this something I can just Google real quick? Let me do that, instead of continuously harassing my coworkers like I've been doing, which is not, I'm doing better. 2019, Courtney is asking a lot less annoying questions, but still, I mean, we are who we are in this world. So yes, those are my 5 tips. And I'll be back next week with another video. I hope you guys had a chance to check out the last video, which is working with annoying people, or difficult people rather. I mean, personally, I work with great people, but I wanted to make that video because people have requested it and they were just trying to figure out, like, how do I maneuver this? So definitely check that out. I'll link that below. So yeah, I'm really excited. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Like this video if you felt like it was helpful in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Do subscribe and comment, and I will see you next week. Bye.